Okay, so just to finish up the presentations for today, following on from what Ian was talking about there, I just want to put the Siderise perspective on this in terms of site inspection as being an incredibly important element to make sure that that people have installed things correctly. It's okay getting the specification right, but if the installation doesn't get done right, then you can lead to problems. And I just, a couple of buildings there, some of you will be familiar with the Tall Windsor building in Madrid there on the left-hand side, and another job that took place, the President's Tower in Bangkok. Now, you can see there on the Tall Windsor building, we had complete burnout of the building there, but fortunately in that particular fire, no one died. On the one on the other side, there were only 4 floors affected, but you had 3 fatalities in that building. And the reason why I bring both of those buildings up is because actually, in both those cases, it was the cavity, the fire spread through the gap between the slab edge and the facade, where the cavity fire barriers should have been preventing that spread. And there's a number of reasons why the fire spread through there, and I don't want to get into any particular discussion now about what test methods or whatever you should be testing fire barriers to. What I would say, though, is that curtain wall facades move. If you look at one of the main documents that any facade contractor gets, it will talk about the specification, will talk about movement through drying, shrinkage, creep, thermal movement, all of those sorts of things that play on the facade. And if that facade is moving, then any fire stop that sits between the facade and the slab edge is going to have an imposed load acting on it. If it can't accommodate that load over a long period of time and it breaks down and fails, then when a fire occurs, the chances are that it's not going to stop the fire spreading between the slab edge and the facade. So very important really for you to consider with the products that you're installing, will they accommodate the movement over the long term of the building? Okay, what I'm really going to talk about is I'm going to talk about an app. And as a fairly computer illiterate person, I can't tell you too much about how the app works or what it does and things, but or at least the science behind it, but I know how you can use it. And the whole purpose of this app really is to kind of overlay what Ian was saying earlier about your third-party certification, about somebody coming in and checking your work. This is an opportunity for both, if you're using Siderise products, for us to come and look at the work and to report on it, again, to help you with your O&M manuals, etc., but also for you to be able to use the app yourselves to do it. And for those of you here who are involved in the specification side of things, then it's worth considering that you're specifying products that are compatible with this type of app. So the first thing really is that from a Siderise point of view, we're looking for ease of installation all the time. That's really critical because, let's face it, we have constantly changing labour forces over here, and the products must be easy to understand and easy to install. So moving on from the product design, what you can then do using the app would be to look at standard details, to look at some project-specific details, design and installation guidance. Really important on the installation guidance that people know exactly how to use these products. I mean, one of the things that we offer free of charge training as a company, and sometimes we get called to site to go and do the training a week after they've started the work. That's not really the best time for us to go. We want to be there before the work started. We don't want to have to say to somebody, you did that wrong. These are fairly simple things to install, but it's also quite easy to get them wrong if you haven't had all the training. So, you know, you should really get people into site as early as possible in the piece and make sure that the training's done. We can do mock-up installations for people. We can do project-specific testing. We wouldn't do project-specific testing on every site, but project-specific testing is available if the project is big enough. It's certainly something that we're willing to discuss with people. Okay. Looking at the app itself, we can offer a toolbox training service and then a site inspection service, and we can split this into two levels: our standard service and our key account contractor service. And really, what we want to make sure is that every time we sell a product into the market, that we are offering. We don't just believe that when that product leaves our factory and we get paid for it, that's the end of our responsibility. It isn't the end of our responsibility, and that's why we're willing to offer to any contractor, even one that we've never dealt with before, we have no relationship with them, we're able to offer them a level of service, which would be our standard service. But overlaying that, what we would then say is that what we want to do is we want to develop a relationship with contractors out there to the point where we're familiar with them and they're familiar with our products, and we know that they're installing them correctly, and then they would come under our key account contractor service. So just to differentiate between the two services, what we're looking at here is that for a standard service, we would go and we would do the site training. Irrespective of who the customer is, if they're buying our goods, we're willing to go down to site as a free of charge service and train those guys and make sure that the stuff is installed correctly. On top of that, we will go down and we will do a milestone inspection and report at some point during the site. Now, as Ian pointed out, from the BRE's point of view, if you're part of the LPS 1531 scheme, you're also going to get some inspections going on there. It will depend on certain sites how often you're going to get those inspections. Sometimes there'll be spot inspections, but if you're buying our product, we can additionally give the guidance and inspections and reports on that. And then at the end of the job, we would do a completed installation report. So that would be our standard service, but what we're looking to do is to develop relationships with contractors out there to bring them onto our scheme, and then what we're looking at is an enhanced benefits to the customer. So the site training, again, that's standard, but really what we're looking at now is the Siderise inspection app and having a license for this app. And it works in two ways. The first way is simple. We go to site, we use the app, we look at the installations on site, we document them, we comment on them, we recommend any approvals or improvements that need to be made to it. But the second way this app can work is that we actually train the operatives on site to use the app. Now, they're not going to self-certify themselves with it. What they're going to do is they're going to take the photos, they're going to document the installations on site, and then they're going to pass them back to us electronically, and then we can comment on them and write reports based on that. We will do multiple milestone inspections and reports, and I wouldn't say it's unlimited the amount of times we will visit site, but certainly unless there's a particular reason, these would be free of charge inspections throughout the course of the site to make sure. It's really important for us as a manufacturer to make sure that these things are installed correctly. They're life safety products, they need to be installed correctly. And then we will get the completed installation report at the end of it. So in terms of the actual app itself, it's iOS compatible, Android compatible. There will potentially be a Windows compatible version out as well, but I mean most people have the iPad or an Android more than the Windows one. In it includes such things as the application details in there, the product details that are being installed, application photos. So these will be live photos from the site that when you do it with the app, it automatically builds those into the report. There's no need to cut and paste them in, they're automatically put into the report. And then there's as you can see there, you'll have various different headings there, and it will tell you whether that particular installation is compliant or non-compliant. If it's non-compliant, then it will recommend what needs to be done. So there will be a remedial report coming out of this as well, giving you any remedial actions that need to take place. So you're getting a very comprehensive set of details specific to your job that that you can take to the main contractor and say, look, I've got a sign off on this, or this is the remedial action I will be taking, this is when it will be done by, etc. And Siderise will be coming back and checking that. So what we're looking for at the end of it is we're looking for compliant installations out there that meet the requirements that we know are hopefully going to perform. I say hopefully, we know that they're going to perform in a fire. If they're completely compliant, they will. So the main benefit, you'd say, is to the facade contractor, the contractors in this room. But it's not only a benefit to the facade contractor in terms of his paperwork and his submissions. It's also a benefit to the main contractor. He can see instantly that that work has been checked. I've seen more and more we get inquiries from main contractors bypassing the facade contractor saying, oh, this is what they've done on site, what do you think about it? You know, we don't like to get involved in those conversations too deeply, really. You know, we should be dealing with the facade contractors who's installing the stuff. You would be able to show him, look, it has been, Siderise have seen it, and it is approved. It's in line with their recommendations. And also any regulatory authorities, whether it's if it's an NHBC job, if they're coming to inspect, or it's an approved inspector or whoever is coming to look at the work again, you've got some documented evidence that the product's been installed correctly. One of the nice things about this app is that it's actually loaded with the building regulations for that particular area. So we have approved document B and the guidance, etc., in approved document B that we would measure against the app if it's being used for a project in England and Wales. If it was being used in Ireland, it could have all the information from technical guidance document in there. If it's being used in the UAE, then we would put in the regulations in there as well. So it gives you complete global coverage, and you'll be able to measure the actual installations against the appropriate standards within that region. And if everything's done correctly, then and you've got a good sign-off on it on all of your fire stop installations, that hopefully can lead to you having a faster handover to the client at the end of the day.